Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Dave here with Go Gamers, and today we're going to be taking a look at this PS4 Pro with Blu-ray drive issues. So let's go over to the desk and see what's going on. All right, so today we have a PS4 Pro. It's said to have a couple issues. They say that this drive isn't working, and on top of that, it's not wanting to update the console. And when it does try to update, it gives an error. Now, typically on these PS4 Pros, that's usually going to be an F6202 Fuse on the motherboard. So let's go ahead, let's pop in a disc and see what we get. So as you can see, console is off. And I'm going to try to put in a disc and see if it takes it. Not want to take this disc in at all, but the console did turn on. So most of the time people would automatically assume that this is actually just a Blu-ray issue. It's actually deeper than that. Very deep than that. It's actually on the motherboard. So what we're going to need to do is actually take this apart, go down to the motherboard, and what we're going to need to do is run our multimeter on the F6202 fuse and see what's going on. Now, sometimes your F6201 fuse can also blow out, but we're gonna check the F6202 and the F6201 just to see if either one of those are blown out, and then if so, then we'll just go ahead and replace it. So let's make it down to the motherboard. All right, so this is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at this section over here. So the previous gen model PS4s actually have a separated PCB board where it has its own Renaissance chip that's actually married to the APU processor on this motherboard. So we're going to be looking at a couple fuses, your F6202, your F6201, in this area right here of the board. What we're going to do is we're going to go under our microscope and we're going to get a better view of it. So here are your two fuses that we're going to be looking at. So the first fuse we're obviously going to start with is S6202 because that's the most common fuse to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to clamp my motherboard down so I can actually get a good visual of this. And now let's grab our handy dandy multimeter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the multimeter in continuity mode because all we're looking for is continuity between both points. Since it's just a fuse, so let's see what we get. Absolutely no continuity between F6202 fuse. Let's check F6201. F6201 fuse, I have perfect continuity. F6202 has zero continuity. So what I'm going to do is grab a donor motherboard, take off the fuse off of that donor motherboard. And the thing about it too is, realistically, if the fuse is the same size, you can swap it out. So if you don't have another PS4 Pro motherboard laying around, as long as it's a fuse and it's the same size, then it will work. I have swapped out fuses multiple times with totally different fuses on the opposite side of motherboards and never had an issue. So I'm going to go grab a donor board and we're going to pull the fuse off that board. All right, so we have our donor motherboard, which is just a regular standard PS4 FAT with the all matte black model that we have. And we have a F6202 fuse right here. And I'm obviously going to test it just to make sure we have continuity on this fuse before I actually take it off. All right, so we are getting perfect continuity. Now, this looks to be the same exact size. So I'm just going to swap it out, and exactly like I said, as long as the fuse is the same exact size, it shall work. So let's drop a little bit of flux on here so we can at least be able to pull this off fairly easy with our tweezers. And I'm going to put my heat wand on, and I'm going to turn some fume extraction on, and let's prepare to get this off. All right, so F6202 fuse successfully removed, and now we can take off the fuse on our motherboard that we actually want to repair. So let's go ahead and get this taken off. I'm gonna pop a tiny bit of flux on this, and we want to make sure this could be able to flow off fairly easy. Ah, no. That's the thing about taking off these old fuses. So a lot of times you can have a little bit of pad damage. So let's see if we can revive that pad. If not, worse come to worse, we'll have to lay down some new copper and get it connected to our fuse once we put it in there. So let's see what we could do. Clean it up with my toothbrush and a little bit of IPA. I'm not sure if that one might be able to be brought up. Let me load up my solder iron and see if I could be able to get this out. All right, so I know it's not pretty, but we could definitely make it look pretty. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some solder. What I did was I just scraped away a little bit above that pad just to reveal it so it can be able to reach to our fuse. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn back on my fume extraction, pop a little bit of flux on there, and we could be able to get that replaced. All right, so we have that solder on correctly. Now let's go ahead and grab our fuse. All right, so this fuse is actually a perfect fit. It's a little bit bigger, but maybe it was actually a blessing in disguise that I actually tore up that pad, because the new pad that I created is a little bit bigger than the other one, because the other one would have maybe been a hair bit too small, and I probably would have had to use a little bit of gauge wire, copper wire, just to get it to go. Um, so, but that's good. So let's go ahead and turn back on our heat wand and get this flowed on there. All right, so seems like it flowed right into place. So let's do a nudge test on it. Seems to be held into place pretty good. Let's get a good angle from a distance. So as you can tell, it's a little bit bigger, but it shall still work. And it looks good. So let's go ahead and take our multimeter and get a good reading on this and see what we can come up with. So I'm going to start off with the F6201 fuse just to make sure that one is still good and not blown out. Let me actually turn on my multimeter first. continuity from both of them. So immediate continuity from F6202 and immediate continuity from F6201. So we're good. Let's get this thing back together and see how she performs. All right, so we have the console fully put back together. Now, moment of truth, and see if that new fuse we put on actually works. Fuse works beautifully. So I'm actually going to hook this up and turn it over to the TV and see what we can see. All right, so we got the console turned on right now, and we have a PlayStation screen. And I'm gonna, as you guys can see on this camera right here, I'm gonna pop out the disc a couple times just to make sure that fuse is properly functioning. As you can see, everything seems to be good. Now let's get inside the actual console itself and see about the way it reads this game. You can see it's reading the game fine, and we have a fully functioning PS4 Pro with a brand new F6202 fuse, and looks like everything is good now. All right, so that's it for today's video. If you guys have any additional questions, please leave your comment down below. And if this video did help you guys out a lot, make sure you're going ahead and smash that like button. And if you guys want to see more daily repair content like this, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to this channel as well. If you want to see me repair something specific, or if you haven't seen done before, leave it down in the comments below and I'll be sure to try to get around to it. But besides that, thank you guys so much for joining this video today, and you guys have a good night. See ya.